Hey guys, tonight we take a quiet step into a version of Earth you have never lived in, but your imagination has been secretly waiting for. You breathe in slowly, and you feel the air thicken with a kind of soft anticipation, because above you, something impossible is shimmering into existence. You lift your eyes, and there it is, arching across the sky in gentle silver strokes that stretch from horizon to horizon. Rings, delicate and bright, curving around your planet like a cosmic crown. You stand under them as if you have been standing there all your life. They glow faintly in the dawn light, and the world feels strangely lighter and heavier at the same time. You sense the quiet hum of ice and dust drifting far above, sparkling like frozen confetti. A scientist somewhere would probably tell you that the debris is nothing but tiny fragments pulled into a disciplined orbit, but to you it feels like the universe finally got around to decorating Earth. And yes, you probably would not survive if any of those chunks the size of apartment buildings decided to fall out of orbit tonight, but let us not ruin the mood. You are here for calm, not catastrophic realism. Before we wander deeper into this sky-wrapped night, take a moment to show a little love to the channel if you feel like it. Every gentle tap on those buttons reminds me that these stories matter to you, and I appreciate every bit of quiet support you choose to offer. Nothing forced, nothing urgent, just a soft thank you from one night owl to another. And if you want, please comment where you are listening from and what the clock says on your side of the world. It is strangely soothing knowing people across continents are drifting into the same kind of sleep at the same moment. Now, as you settle in, dim the room the way you would soften the brightness of a spaceship cabin. Let the atmosphere grow warm and muffled. Let a small fan whisper nearby, adding that gentle background hush that makes your shoulders drop a little lower. Let your bed become a slow floating escape pod as the night opens in front of you. You take another breath, long and smooth, and the story folds seamlessly forward. You stand at the edge of a quiet hill where the grass bends under a pale morning breeze. The world still feels familiar, but the sky is undeniably different. The rings arc above you, shimmering in layers so thin they look painted. Some parts glow white, others glow with a faint blush, and the closest segments scatter sunlight into a soft halo that wraps around your vision. This is not a sky you just look at. It is a sky you feel pressing lightly on your skin. Scientists still wonder how rings would have formed around Earth if this had ever been real. Some imagine a shattered moon pulled too close, its fragments spreading like a gleaming river. Others point to the possibility of a wandering icy body torn apart by gravity long before humans walked the land. You do not need to choose a theory tonight. You just let the possibilities float around you like quiet thoughts that refuse to disturb your calm. You hear a small rustle behind you as the wind drifts across the hillside. The rings scatter new colors across the grass, turning every blade into a tiny reflective instrument. You walk slowly, noticing how each step feels unhurried, how your body adjusts to this new version of the sky. You take your time. There is no rush in a world wrapped in cosmic ribbons. If Earth really had these rings, some cities would never see stars again, drowned in constant reflected light. You imagine kids growing up, thinking a star-filled sky is just a rumor. Someone somewhere would probably protest, demanding the government dim the rings for one night only. You keep walking, and the air softens around you, the way it always does in these bedtime journeys. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, even though there is no actual fire here. Your rhythm simply remembers it from other nights. The comfort loops strike up naturally, like your body knows this is when it should begin to settle deeper. The daylight grows warmer, but the rings stay visible, glowing like wide bands of frozen sunlight. Their inner edges shimmer more sharply, while the outer curves fade into a soft blur. You try to follow the curve with your eyes, hoping you might find the seam where they begin or end, but there is no seam. They just are. Constant. Familiar. Almost like someone placed them there for your peace alone. You pause, letting your mind drift to how cities would wake each morning under this spectacle. Imagine skyscraper windows reflecting the bands in countless dizzying slices. Imagine early joggers looking up every day and pretending they are in a sci-fi movie. Imagine the quiet debates people would have over whether the rings make the world feel bigger or smaller. People still argue whether such a sky would inspire more wonder or more superstition. You shrug to yourself, deciding you like the wonder better. As the rings continue to glow overhead, you feel your breathing drop into a slower pattern. You notice how the calm settles beneath your ribs, how the weight of your day has begun dissolving into the grass at your feet. The world with rings is not chaotic or overwhelming tonight. It is quiet. It is soft. It is yours to explore without hurry or noise. You rest your hand on your chest for a moment, feeling the steady rise and fall. The rings cast a faint pale line across your skin, as if the sky is leaving a tiny signature. You smile again, letting the humour and tranquility mingle. Somewhere far above, a tiny fragment of ice catches the sunlight in a way that sends a thin shimmer down toward you. It feels like the sky is breathing with you. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting your mind sink a little deeper into the quiet. The horizon brightens slightly. You know the journey has only begun, and the next step will lead you deeper into the nights of a ringed earth. You move gently into the next moment, carrying the glow of dawn behind you as the sky shifts into something deeper and quieter. The rings remain overhead, but they soften as night rolls in. You feel the air cooling against your skin, and the world tilts toward darkness in a slow, cinematic slide. But this new darkness is different. It isn't empty the way night usually is. You look up, and the rings now glow like vast cosmic arcs painted across the heavens, steady and silent. It almost feels like they are lighting your path, but not in a loud or showy way. Their glow is more like a soft whisper on the horizon. You walk forward, each step gentle, each breath a little slower than the last. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting your shoulders drop as the sky deepens into blue. The rings stretch across your vision in wide, radiant bands. Some shimmer like powdered silver, others look like pale ribbons floating in a still ocean. You tilt your head to catch the angle where they glow the brightest. Night is settling around you, yet the sky never becomes fully dark. You realize that this world will never have pitch-black nights again. The rings act like a massive celestial nightlight, scattering reflected sunlight even when the sun is long gone. In some seasons, the glow would be so bright that people would read books outside at midnight without needing a lamp. It feels comforting, though. You don't mind the glow. If anything, it wraps you in a gentle halo, the kind that makes you feel watched over, like the universe is keeping an eye on you, so you can rest without worry. Scientists still wonder if humans would sleep better or worse under such constant illumination. Some say the faint glow would disturb circadian rhythms. Others argue it would soothe the body the way dim candlelight does before bed. You quietly hope science chooses the cozy option someday. You turn slowly and notice something new. The rings have a slight texture tonight. They ripple faintly, like distant waves. You blink, as if trying to decide whether it's real or just your mind playing tricks in the low light. But the ripples are real, gentle vibrations caused by tiny gravitational pulls from Earth's mass and the moon sharing the sky. If the moon ever drifted too close, it could distort the rings into wild, wavy patterns. You imagine someone waking up at 3 a.m. to chaotic, zigzagging lines across the sky and posting online, "Bro, who messed with the planet's wallpaper?" You smile softly and continue walking under the glowing arcs. The grass beneath your feet feels colder now, touched by the moisture of nighttime. Every step seems quieter than usual, like the world is lowering its volume for you. The rings perform their silent show above, scattering silver across the landscape. The shadows they cast are long and delicate. Sometimes they break into faint stripes, and for a moment you feel like the ground is wearing celestial patterns. You stop to breathe again, long and deep, and the comfort loops settle into place. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The night wraps around you like a familiar blanket. Above you, the Milky Way stretches behind the rings. But it looks different than you remember. The rings slice across the galaxy's glow, creating a beautiful contrast between the cold, structured arcs and the chaotic starfields behind them. It's like the universe added layers just for your eyes. People might still argue about whether this sky would make humans feel more connected to the cosmos or more overwhelmed by it. You lean toward the idea that it would make someone feel both, and that's kind of perfect for bedtime. As you observe the sky, you notice something small and slightly funny. Airplanes would cast little ring-shaped shadows on clouds below them. Imagine being on a flight, looking out the window to see a giant curved shadow following you. You wonder how long it would take before people made memes out of it. Probably less than a day. You sit down slowly on a rock warmed from the afternoon sun. The night breeze brushes your face, the rings glow softly, and you let your breathing follow their rhythm. Every inhale feels like a slow rise along the curve of the rings. Every exhale feels like drifting downward toward the horizon where they fade. Somewhere in the back of your mind, you recall how daytime felt earlier, how the rings sparkled against the bright sky. You compare it to this moment, where their glow is gentler, more comforting. There is a tenderness in the night ring light that wasn't there during the day. It makes you feel grounded and floating at the same time. You rest your hands on your lap and let your eyes half close. You think about how life would work if nights were always lit like this, how nighttime festivals would glow 10 times brighter, how lovers would walk along quiet roads without needing lanterns, how animals might adjust their habits, unsure whether it is ever truly dark. Some nocturnal creatures might be a little annoyed, pacing around grumpily like, "Why is the sky doing this to us?" But your mind drifts from facts to feelings again, back to the calm settling in your body. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting the glow sink into your thoughts. The rings feel like familiar companions now, drifting with you. Night continues to deepen, but the sky brightens in its own quiet way. You watch the arcs shimmer and stretch across the world like gentle cosmic highways. You feel safe under them. You feel small in a comforting way. You feel ready for whatever the next part of this journey reveals. Your eyelids grow heavier, but your curiosity stays awake just a bit longer, guiding you toward the next piece of this ring-wrapped world that awaits you. You rise slowly from where you were sitting, and as your body settles into a steady rhythm, you begin to feel something subtle beneath your feet. The world around you is not quite the same as the one you knew. The presence of the rings above you is not just visual. They tug on the planet in quiet ways, shifting the balance of things you normally take for granted. You walk toward a shoreline, drawn by the low, distant hush of waves, and you sense that the tides tonight are different. The rings arc overhead in steady, luminous bands, but now you notice how they gently influence the water below. You feel the faint pull, the way the ocean seems to breathe in a slightly altered pattern. The water rises in slower, broader intervals, shaped by the gravitational dance between Earth, the rings, and the moon. Scientists still wonder how the tides would behave in a world where a belt of orbiting ice shares the sky. Some argue that the tides would grow stronger along the equator, building into wide, sweeping waves. Others say the rings might stabilize certain currents and soften the usual chaos. You listen to the ocean as if it is trying to decide which version it prefers. You walk closer to the water, your steps sinking into the cool sand. The waves roll in, then draw back with a long, silky pull. The rhythm is different but soothing. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting the ocean match your pace. You watch as faint reflections from the rings shimmer on the surface of the sea, breaking into long, trembling lines that ripple with every wave. It feels like the sky is leaving fingerprints on the water. A gentle wind brushes your face, carrying the salty scent of the sea. You lift your gaze again to the glowing arcs above. For a moment you imagine how weather across the planet shifts under this new celestial influence. The rings scatter sunlight during the day, cooling some regions and warming others. Winds redirect themselves in slow, looping pathways as the heat distribution across the planet becomes uneven. Somewhere across the globe, meteorologists would be trying very hard to pretend they are not overwhelmed. Someone in an office would probably sigh loudly and say, "We need a whole new set of weather models. Again!" You keep walking along the waterline, feeling the sand soften under your steps as tiny waves brush the edges of your feet. The ocean glows faintly, touched by ringlight that never fully disappears. Some nights, certain particles inside the rings would glow when they catch the sun at the right angle, creating a subtle aurora that stretches across entire continents. You imagine people gathering on beaches just to watch the sky and sea share the same pale shimmer. You continue walking, and the breeze wraps around you in a way that makes you slow down. You feel your breathing deepen. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting the calm settle into your shoulders. The sky above you feels almost painted, but then you notice something else. Small, delicate shadows glide along the beach beside you. They belong to the rings. The arcs cast long, sweeping shadows that stretch across the land in faint stripes. You walk alongside your own double shadow, laughing softly at the idea of humans having an extra silhouette to complain about. Someone would eventually say, their shadow has a shadow, and the internet would break for 48 hours. The wind picks up slightly, carrying a cool bite from the water. You wrap your arms loosely around yourself, not from cold but from the instinct to settle deeper into the moment. You think back to how the rings affected the morning air earlier, the way the sunlight scattered differently. Now at night the glow feels more intimate, like a soft lamp tucked just out of sight. The world feels smaller and bigger at the same time, drawn tight by gravity and stretched open by light. As you look back at the waves, you notice how their patterns shift. Some move in wide, slow arcs, guided by the new gravitational rhythm. Others break into smaller, softer ripples. Somewhere beneath the surface, fish might be just as confused as meteorologists. You imagine a grumpy old sea turtle looking up at the glow and thinking, "This planet used to be simple." With the rings constantly reflecting light, some coastal regions might never have fully dark waters again. No more pitch-black midnight swims. Instead, the ocean would glow faintly, like a giant bowl of drifting moonlight. You stand there, imagining the calm of it, the way the world would feel wrapped in perpetual twilight near the equator. You draw another breath, long and slow. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. Each exhale feels like releasing another layer of your day. You decide to sit in the sand, letting the grains shift under your weight. The rings overhead shine with a steady glow, and the waves hush against the shore. The world feels like it has settled around you in a quieter shape. The debates, the tidal shifts, the weather changes, the science behind it all fade into a gentle hum in the background of your thoughts. All that remains is the glow above you, the water beside you, and the slow rhythm of your breath syncing with the world of rings and tides. Your eyes soften as you look toward the horizon, wondering what else this ring-wrapped earth has reshaped. You know the journey is far from over, and more discoveries wait quietly beyond the shoreline. You rise slowly from the sand, brushing the grains from your palms as the glow of the rings stretches endlessly above you. The shoreline fades behind you as you walk inland, following a small path that threads through the quiet landscape. The world feels different now, not just in the tides or the sky, but in the way life itself has grown around this luminous crown. You take a step onto firmer ground, and you feel the familiar texture of Earth mixed with the quiet strangeness of a planet reshaped by constant celestial light. You walk toward a forest, noticing immediately how the trees have adapted to the glow. Their leaves catch the ring light in soft gradients, shimmering from pale blue to silver depending on the angle. You run your fingers along a leaf, and it feels cool, holding faint traces of nighttime luminescence. Scientists still wonder whether plants in a ring-lit world would evolve to drink in more reflected light or shield themselves from it. Some argue that forests near the equator might grow taller and lusher, absorbing the extra illumination. Others say they might shrink slightly, avoiding constant exposure. You smile softly, enjoying how even experts cannot agree, as if the world is allowed to stay a little mysterious. You take another slow breath. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The forest around you sways gently in the night breeze, but the darkness never feels thick. The rings spread a diffuse glow across the canopy, turning shadows into soft gradients instead of deep pools. Animals move differently here too. You catch sight of a small creature darting across a branch, its eyes reflecting the pale sky. In a world with rings, many nocturnal animals might adjust their habits, unsure if the night is ever truly dark. Somewhere in the branches above, a bird gives a half-hearted chirp, as if it cannot decide whether it is bedtime or dawn. You walk deeper into the woods, and the path glows faintly under the scattered light. There are flowers you have never seen before, petals that seem designed to catch the glow and refract it into tiny halos. A quirky little thought drifts into your mind. In this world, people would likely give plants dramatic names like moon petals or halo blooms, even if the botanist protested. Someone would definitely market ringlight gardens, claiming they boost your mood by 12%. You laugh softly under your breath, imagining commercials with soothing background music and very confused plants. You keep moving, feeling the air shift from salty coastal openness to earthy woodland coolness. Your breathing adjusts naturally. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. You look up through the branches, watching the rings slice through the night sky in curved, glowing belts. The forest feels older, wiser, shaped by centuries under this steady illumination. As you emerge from the woods, you reach the edge of a small town. The houses are quiet, their windows glowing with warm light. People here have grown up under the rings, seeing them not as strange, but as familiar companions. You walk through a narrow street, noticing that buildings have oddly angled roofs designed to reflect or soften the ring glow. Some walls glimmer faintly with paint that catches the light, creating soft stripes along the stone. Cities in this world would be built around the sky's patterns. Streetlights would be fewer. Night markets would thrive under the natural illumination. Some windows would have heavy curtains to block the brightness, while others would remain open, letting the glow drift inside like a soft visitor. You imagine someone sipping tea on a balcony, the rings reflected in their cup. You imagine kids lying on rooftops, tracing the curves of the arcs with sleepy fingers. You pass a small shop with a hand-painted sign. The shadow of the rings creates faint curved bands across the building. You pause for a moment and take in the calm silence of the town. The light feels gentle on your skin. The air smells of stone, warmed by the day and cooled by the night. Life here is slower, quieter, shaped by the soft glow above. People might still argue whether the rings make life easier or more complicated, but you can feel how the sky softens everything. Even the ground beneath your feet seems to hum with a gentler rhythm. You continue walking until you reach a clearing where the town thins out and open fields stretch toward the horizon. The grasses shimmer faintly under the ringlight, each blade catching the glow in a subtle flicker. You run your hand across them as you walk, feeling the cool brushing against your fingers. The air carries a faint sound of insects adjusting their calls to a sky that never truly sleeps. You take a long breath. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The glow overhead feels familiar now, almost protective. The world around you folds into calm shapes, and you feel yourself moving deeper into this ring-lit earth, guided by quiet curiosity and a growing sense of peace. Animals shift softly in the fields, their silhouettes faint but visible. Some graze steadily, unfazed by the brightness. Others pause and look toward the sky, as if the rings are part of their natural instincts. You imagine how generations of life would evolve under these arcs, new colors, new rhythms, new instincts, shaped by constant reflected light. The thought feels both wondrous and grounding, reminding you that even fantastical worlds have rules of their own. You slow your pace, letting your steps soften into the grass. The glow spreads across the landscape, silver and steady. You look up one more time at the rings that sweep across the sky, feeling their calm settle into your chest. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. Life in this world moves differently, softer, quieter, and you begin to feel that same rhythm settling into your own heartbeat as the journey continues. You step away from the open fields and feel the land tilt gently under your feet as you walk toward a quiet ridge. The air cools again, settling into that familiar softness that always arrives when the night deepens. Above you, the rings stretch in smooth, luminous arcs. Yet tonight, you notice something new. The world around you is painted in double shadows. You pause for a moment, lifting your hands slowly. Your fingers cast one shadow toward the left, a solid shape made by the moon's glow. But there is another shadow, faint and curved, stretching in a softer direction. The rings bend the light in their own steady pattern, creating an echo of your silhouette. You watch the two shapes exist together, side by side, like a quiet reminder that your world now has two sources of nightlight. You take a slow, steady breath. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting your shoulders drop. You begin to walk again, fascinated by how everything around you seems to split into doubled silhouettes. Trees cast thick shadows in one direction and ghost-like stripes in another. Houses produce elegant curves of dim light along their edges. Even the stones on the ground seem wrapped in pale outlines. Scientists still wonder how humans would interpret these double shadows if they grew up with them. Some argue that the phenomenon would become normal, barely noticed after childhood. Others say people would never stop marveling at it, the way some people today still stop to gaze at a full moon. You sway a little as you walk, amused at the idea of someone trying to photograph their double shadow and completely missing the focus, then blaming their camera instead of the sky. You climb the low ridge until you reach a quiet plateau. The view spreads out in front of you, a landscape washed in soft greys and silver stripes. The rings curve overhead, bright enough to cast long lines across the grass. The double shadows appear again, stretching outward in layers that almost seem alive. You take another deep breath and let your chest expand slowly. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. As you walk across the plateau, you notice how your depth perception feels slightly different. The world has more layers now, more subtle visual cues that play with your sense of space. You do not feel disoriented, though. You feel guided, as if the sky is giving you a dim roadmap. In some regions of this ring-lit Earth, nights might even be easier to navigate than days. The reflected glow from the rings could help people walk safely along uneven paths without needing artificial lamps. You imagine someone casually bragging, "Who needs flashlights when your planet has built-in night lights?" You find a smooth rock and sit on it, letting your legs stretch out comfortably. The ground beneath you feels cool but steady. The shadows of your legs spread in two directions at once, one darker, one softer. You run your hand gently along the rock's surface, noticing how even it carries two faint outlines. It is peaceful, almost hypnotic. You find yourself settling into a deeper rhythm as you watch the subtle movements of the double silhouettes around you. Overhead, the rings glow like pale highways. They slice across the dark sky in gentle curves. Far beyond them, stars still shine, but their light must compete with the glow of the arcs. In this world, the constellations might look slightly muted, obscured in places where the rings stretch brightest. Astronomers would probably sigh dramatically about this loss, while poets would celebrate the rings as their new muse. People might still argue whether the rings ruin stargazing or make it more magical. You lean back on your hands, deciding quietly that both can be true. A small gust of wind brushes your cheek, carrying the scent of pine and cool stone. You watch the shadows shift again as the breeze moves through the grass. Your breathing follows the rhythm of the moment. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, You stand up and continue walking along the ridge. The double shadows follow you faithfully, drifting behind like gentle companions. Every tree you pass looks like it has two personalities. Every rock looks like it is being embraced by a faint outline made of light. Even your footsteps seem to create small moments of doubled motion. For a second, you imagine dancing in this world, twirling under ringlight while two silhouettes spin with you. The thought makes you smile, soft and sleepy. You descend the far side of the ridge, moving toward a valley where the grass grows taller. The double shadows stretch across the hill in long arcs. Animals move through the landscape, their shapes multiplied by the lights above. A deer pauses and looks toward you, its twin shadows stretching behind it like long fading ribbons. The sight feels surreal, yet calming. This world has a strange beauty, the kind that settles deep into your senses and refuses to let go. Artists in this world would never run out of inspiration. They would chase the double shadows across fields, towns, and forests, trying to capture the perfect angle where the two silhouettes merge or separate. There would be entire exhibitions titled things like Two Sides of the Same Light. Someone would certainly claim their shadow has become their spiritual pet. Another person would insist their double shadow is judging them. You laugh softly, the sound barely louder than the night breeze. You walk deeper into the valley, letting the tall grass brush your palms. The rings shift slowly above you as Earth rotates, creating moving patterns across the landscape. These patterns feel almost like a lullaby for the eyes. Your breathing falls into a long, slow rhythm. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, drifting a little deeper into the quiet. You stop near a small rise in the valley, looking back at your double shadow once more. It feels like a companion now, a soft echo of yourself shaped by a world where light comes from more than one source. You feel grounded, you feel calm, you feel like this planet has settled into your heartbeat. The night is far from over, and the journey continues gently forward, inviting you into the next shape of this ring-lit Earth. You leave the valley behind, stepping onto a long stretch of open land where the horizon feels wide and unhurried. The rings glow above you in their quiet, steady arcs, bending across the sky like luminous pathways. As you walk, you notice how they always seem to point somewhere. No matter where you stand, the arcs sweep across the world like gentle cosmic highways. You take a few slow breaths, letting that idea settle inside you. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The world feels bigger tonight, yet easier to navigate. In ancient times, sailors relied on stars to cross oceans, but in this version of Earth, travelers might follow the rings instead. Their curvature stretches in clean lines across the sky, providing direction no matter where you stand. Even now, as you walk across the open plains, the arcs guide your eyes toward the distant horizon. They feel like the universe's way of giving you a quiet compass. You walk a little further until the ground rises into a gentle slope. The earth beneath your feet is cool, and each step sinks softly into the soil. With every rise in elevation, the view widens, showing long stretches of land bathed in silver ring light. You pause at the top of the slope, letting the night settle around you. The arcs overhead form glowing tracks that seem to stretch infinitely, like pathways carved into the sky by something patient and ancient. Scientists still wonder how early civilizations might have used the rings if they existed. Some argue people would have built entire roads aligned with their glow, using the arcs as celestial signposts. Others say travelers might have read the rings like a clock, using their brightness and angle to tell the time of night. You tilt your head slightly, imagining a world where navigation feels as natural as breathing, guided by curves of ice millions of kilometers long. You begin walking again, following a faint trail across the plains. The path is lit just enough by the ring light that you never feel the need to hurry or squint. The double shadows from earlier stretch beside you again, faint but visible. One shadow points toward the moonlit direction, and the softer one follows the ring light's glow. Together they move with you, almost matching your pace. You smile gently. It feels like you have silent travel companions. As you walk, your footsteps make soft thuds against the earth, The night breeze sweeps across the plain, carrying the scent of distant water and cool soil. You feel the air move through your hair. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower as the rings continue to shimmer overhead. You imagine caravans traveling under such a sky centuries ago, traders moving between cities, guided by glowing arcs, nomads following the curve of the rings across deserts, explorers braving mountain ranges, knowing the sky would never abandon them to darkness. The rings would change the way people moved, the way they planned, the way they dreamed. They would be constant reminders that the planet itself carries a map in the heavens. In this world, someone would definitely claim they invented a new form of navigation called ring tracking and try to sell an expensive course on it. The sky would be doing all the work, but they would still brag about being visionaries. You shake your head gently, amused, as you continue walking. Ahead, you see the outline of old stone ruins. You approach them slowly, your curiosity rising with each step. The walls, worn smooth by centuries of weather, are angled in a way that suggests they were built with the rings in mind. You run your hand along the stone and feel the faint chill beneath your fingers. The soft glow from the arcs above casts gentle shadows through the cracks and openings. It feels like this place was built for traveling souls to rest, to gather, to look up at the sky and understand their place in it. You sit on a fallen pillar, letting your body rest while the night settles deeper. The rings stretch above you like luminous ribbons. The ruins around you feel ancient, timeless, shaped by humans who once wandered this world with the same awe you feel right now. Travelers might have stood exactly where you are, using the arcs to decide their next direction. In this moment, the sky feels like a gentle teacher. You lift your face toward the arcs again. They curve with quiet perfection, breaking through the darkness with a glow that feels almost alive. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The world seems to fall into a natural rhythm around you. Your eyes follow the rings as they stretch across the sky, guiding you left, then right, then beyond. You feel a quiet sense of purpose settle inside your chest. Not urgency, not direction in the traditional sense. Just a soft reminder that even in the dark, the world offers pathways if you are willing to look up. You stand and begin walking again, letting your footsteps fall into sync with the night. Every direction feels open. Every path feels illuminated. Every mile feels gentle under this cosmic glow. And as you move forward, guided by the arcs above, you sense that this world still has more to show you. You follow a gentle slope downward, feeling the night breathe around you as the rings stretch overhead in their constant, luminous arcs. The world is quiet but not silent. There is a hum in the air, a faint vibration that feels more like a mood than a sound. You walk slowly, each step soft on the earth, and you start to notice that the sky itself seems to be listening. Something shifts above you, subtle and rhythmic, like distant waves made of starlight. You pause for a moment, letting your eyes adjust. The rings look steady, but you can sense movement within them. Thin ripples glide along the icy bands, drifting like slow waves across a frozen ocean suspended in the heavens. You take a deep breath. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, letting that quiet motion settle into your body. A soft murmur enters the night. At first you think it might be the wind brushing through the grass, but then you notice the pattern. It rises and falls in long drawn-out tones, almost like distant thunder diffused through a cosmic filter. You tilt your head, listening more deeply. The rings are responding to something in the world below. Somewhere far across the landscape, a storm is pushing through the atmosphere. The vibrations travel upward, nudging the icy particles in the rings. The result is a faint, echoing sound, almost musical. Scientists still argue about how much of this would be audible to human ears. Some claim the vibrations would be too subtle, only detected through instruments. Others believe that during certain storms, the resonance might reach the ground, allowing you to hear soft, ghostly hums from the sky. You smile gently. You prefer the version where the universe sings to you. even if just a little. You keep walking, letting the night swallow you in its calm rhythm. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The grass brushes your ankles, cool and steady. Overhead, the ripples in the rings continue drifting, like threads being pulled gently through a loom. They shimmer faintly as they move, giving the sky a fluid quality that feels hypnotic. Somewhere out there, a group of amateur skywatchers would absolutely start a club called the Ring Whisperers, insisting they can hear every fluctuation. They would hold weekly meetings, drink hot cocoa, and dramatically argue over which storms produce the prettiest hums. You chuckle softly, imagining someone claiming their cat reacts differently depending on the pitch. As you continue walking, you feel the air shift. A soft breeze travels across the plains, carrying the smell of rain even though no clouds hover above you. The storm must be far away, yet its influence rides the wind. You pause and turn your face upward as another wave of quiet resonance hums through the rings. It's barely perceptible, but you feel it in your ribs more than your ears, like a gentle vibration settling under your skin. You walk toward a small rise in the land, feeling the vibration grow slightly stronger as you ascend. The rings glow above you, casting pale stripes across the ground. Your double shadow appears again, stretching across the slope. The hum from the sky makes the grass tremble faintly, creating a soft, shimmering effect as light bounces between the blades. You sit down at the top of the rise, letting your legs relax into the cool earth. The rings arc across your entire field of vision, wide and luminous and impossibly steady. Then, drifting along the arcs, you see something new, brighter streaks of light, tiny particles colliding within the ring bands. They spark faintly as they interact, sending brief, shimmering flashes across the sky. They are not dangerous, just tiny pieces of ice and dust brushing past each other like grains of sand rolling in a shallow tide. Somewhere, a scientist would be excitedly explaining how these micro-collisions can reveal the density of the rings. Meanwhile, someone else would insist it looks like the sky is popping tiny bubble wrap sheets. You grin softly, letting the humor blend seamlessly with the calm. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. You lie back gently, letting the world cradle you. The earth beneath you is cool and steady. The rings above you ripple softly, echoing the distant storm. Your breath settles into a slow, steady cadence, syncing with the quiet vibration in the sky. You look upward, imagining how storms on this world would feel different, how thunder might carry a faint harmonic, how lightning flashes might reflect off the rings in streaks of pale gold, how rainfall would shimmer under ringlight, turning the world into a glowing field of silver lines. People might still argue whether the rings make storms more dramatic or more soothing. You decide that both can be true. The sky above you feels alive yet calming, dynamic yet gentle. It hums like a lullaby written by cosmic forces older than anything you know. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the reverberation fade into the background. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The vibrations settle around you like a blanket of sound and light, and as the hum of the rings drifts into silence again, the night opens its next path for you. You rise slowly from where you are lying, brushing your palms against your clothes as the soft vibration in the sky fades into a gentle stillness. The night expands around you with its silver glow, and the rings stretch above you like quiet brushstrokes laid across the heavens. You take a slow step forward, then another, and you begin to feel something new in the air. It is not a sound, not a scent, not a physical sensation. It is a presence. A sense that this world has grown around the rings, not just physically, but culturally. The sky has shaped the way people think, the way they create, the way they celebrate. You move toward a distant cluster of lights where a small town rests at the edge of the plains. As you approach, you begin to hear faint music drifting through the night, not loud, not sharp, just a slow, rhythmic melody carried by the breeze. You feel your breath fall naturally into its tempo. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The town sits beneath the arcs like a glowing painting. Streets weave between quiet houses decorated with simple lanterns that complement the ring light rather than compete with it. Buildings have smooth, curved rooftops that catch the glow, reflecting it in soft ripples along the walls. You step onto the main walkway, feeling the gentle hum of community life even at this late hour. People sit in small groups outside homes and cafes, their faces lit not by lamps, but by the celestial glow above. The rings have become more than scenery here. They are woven into everything, into the stories people tell, into the songs children learn, into the colours chosen for pottery, murals and fabrics that decorate the town. You pass a shop window and see hand-painted ceramics swirling with ring-like patterns. You pause and smile quietly. Humans always find ways to paint the sky they love. Scientists still wonder how societies might shift around such a constant, breathtaking display overhead. Some say people would develop entire festivals dedicated to the cycles of ring brightness. Others argue that spiritual traditions might form around the arcs, tying them to life, balance, or destiny. You walk past a small plaza and see a carving of the rings arranged in a loop around a stylized figure. You imagine someone explaining dramatically that the ring light symbolizes eternal harmony. Someone else would probably counter that it just looks pretty. Humans never change. You continue walking, letting the gentle sounds of conversation wrap around you. None of it feels loud or rushed. Everything is soft, measured, peaceful. The ring light encourages calm the way candlelight calms a quiet room. People gather in easy clusters, telling stories the way old travelers once sat around fires, tracing constellations with their hands. Here, they trace the arcs instead, describing how the glow shifts from season to season. You walk toward the town's small central square. A group of children sits on the ground, drawing patterns in the dust with glowing sticks coated in bioluminescent minerals. Their drawings curve in spirals and loops, mimicking the rings overhead. One child holds up a sketch and says it looks exactly like the sky. Another insists their version is more accurate. A third child claims the rings changed shape last week because they wished for it. You smile softly. Belief is easier in a world where the sky looks magical every night. Someone in this world would definitely start a trend called ringcore aesthetic, convincing everyone to wear clothes with stripes, circles, and arcs. It would probably last 2 years and return every decade. You chuckle quietly, imagining future fashion shows where models walk down runways under artificial ring light, copied from the real sky. You wander through the square, noticing a mural painted across an entire wall. It shows a long procession of people walking under the rings, carrying lanterns shaped like tiny arcs. The painting blends old traditions with new dreams. You reach out and lightly touch the cool wall. The artwork feels alive, as though the rings themselves inspired every line. Your breathing settles deeper as you continue through the town. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. You feel connected to this place even though you have only just arrived. The culture here is built around calm, around watching the sky, around letting the glow shape their pace. People greet each other with unhurried gestures. Children run with the quiet confidence of those who have grown up under a luminous compass. Elders sit on wooden benches, telling stories not of stars, but of the ring's shifting light. As you move beyond the square, you reach a narrow path that leads to a hillside amphitheatre. The sound of soft singing floats through the air. You climb the steps, one slow step at a time, until you reach the open terrace. Dozens of people sit in semicircles, singing a gentle melody that rises and falls with the rhythm of the night. Their voices blend like warm currents of air, and above them the rings shine in long, beautiful arcs. You sit quietly at the back, letting the music settle into your chest. The glow of the rings makes the scene feel timeless. You imagine how celebrations here would revolve around the arcs. Nighttime weddings under the pale glow, annual festivals where lanterns float upward like tiny echoes of the rings. Stories told to children about how the arcs were once drawn by mythical beings. People might still argue whether culture shapes the rings or the rings shape the culture. You lean into the softer answer, both. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. You listen to the song, feel the glow on your skin, and let the moment wrap around you. As the singing drifts into silence, the night opens into its next quiet chapter, ready to guide you deeper into this world, shaped by sky and story. You step quietly away from the hillside amphitheatre, letting the soft echoes of the song fade behind you. The night feels deeper now, but not darker. The rings spread their pale glow across the land like a comforting veil. You feel your own breath slow in response, letting the moment sink into your chest. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower as you walk down a narrow footpath leading away from the town. The path guides you through a low field where the grass glimmers in the light. Your footsteps make a muted rustle, almost like the world is whispering along with your movement. You let your thoughts wander, and slowly, a feeling rises within you. The rings above you do not just shape the sky, or the culture, or the weather. They shape you. You stop walking for a moment, letting that idea steady itself. The arcs stretch overhead in their graceful curves, and you lift your eyes toward them. They do not change, but you do. Something about their quiet repetition, their stillness, their gentle presence begins to reflect your own inner world back at you. You feel small, but in the best way. Not insignificant, not lost, just part of something vast and gentle. Scientists still wonder how living under the rings would affect human psychology. Some argue the constant glow would make people calmer, reducing nighttime anxiety. Others believe it might make some feel watched, like the sky always has an eye open. You tilt your head, deciding that for you, the glow feels like a steady hand resting lightly on your shoulder. A reminder that the universe is not always chaotic. Sometimes it is soft. You continue walking, taking long, slow breaths as the ground softens beneath your feet. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The path leads you toward a quiet slope, and you climb slowly, letting each step guide you upward. When you reach the top, the land spreads out in front of you, like a silver tapestry, and suddenly, the rings feel closer than they ever have before. They stretch from one horizon to the other, luminous and steady. You feel like you are standing under a cosmic mirror, one that reflects not your face, but your nature. You feel the quiet rhythms of your own thoughts mirrored in the gentle curves overhead. You feel your worries spread thin, stretched across the sky, until they dissolve like faint ripples of ice. In a world like this, someone would definitely claim the rings give them divine motivation to make life decisions. Should I quit my job? Let me check the ring alignment. You smile softly, knowing that even in a mystical world, humans never change. You lower your gaze and notice your double shadow again. One dark, one soft. They stretch behind you like two quiet versions of yourself, moving in perfect sync. You watch them for a moment and feel something tender settle into your chest. The shadows remind you that your life has always had layers, your bright parts, your quiet parts, the moments where you shine and the moments where you soften. Here, under this sky, both feel equally welcome. You continue walking along the ridge, feeling the night wrap around you. The rings above glow like long, silent thoughts. You begin to understand why people in this world might meditate by simply staring upward. The arcs give you something to return to, a visual mantra, something steady in a world that is often not. You stop near a cluster of smooth stones and sit down gently. The earth is cool, the air is easy. You pull your knees close and rest your arms lightly over them. Your gaze drifts between the rings and your faint double shadows on the ground. A quiet realization moves through you. The rings reveal the parts of you that want peace, not noise. They strip away the clutter and leave the calm beneath. People might still argue whether the rings make humans more introspective or more imaginative. Some say they would inspire new philosophies. Others believe they would simply make people pause more often. You think they do both. They pause you. They expand you. They make you feel like there is room to breathe. The fire crackles, The air softens and you breathe slower. You let the night shape you. You let the glow settle in your chest. You feel lighter, steadier, clearer. You lean back a little, supporting yourself on your hands as you stare up at the arcs. They feel like gentle boundaries placed around your thoughts, keeping them from scattering. They feel like soft reminders that the universe has quiet corners too, not just wild storms and infinite distances. The world around you quiets even further. The grass grows still, the breeze slows. Even your thoughts dim to a comfortable hush. You feel ready for the final stretch of this journey, ready for the moment where understanding settles into calm acceptance. You take one last breath before standing. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower, and with the rings guiding your steps, you walk into the final part of the night. You follow the ridgeline as it curves gently downward, the earth soft beneath your feet, and the night opening into its quietest hours. The rings above stretch in their familiar glow, yet something about them feels different now. Not brighter, not darker, just closer, as if after this long journey, the sky has settled into a rhythm meant only for you. You walk slowly, letting your breath lengthen in smooth, unhurried waves. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. The land opens into a wide plain. The grass sways in a calm, even pattern, each blade catching the glow and releasing it in soft silver flickers. You take a few steps forward, feeling the subtle coolness of the grass against your ankles. The world feels like it is waiting, not impatiently, not expectantly, just quietly, as if the rings themselves know you've reached the part of the night where understanding comes not through thinking but through simply being. You lift your eyes to the arcs. They sweep across the sky with an elegance that still feels impossible, and yet, after everything you've seen tonight, they feel natural too. Like your mind finally accepts that beauty this large can coexist with a planet as small and fragile as yours. The rings stretch in clean, luminous bands. No jagged edges, no abrupt breaks, just steady curves that hold the night together. Scientists still wonder what a moment like this would do to someone. Some say staring at the rings for long enough might create a sense of cosmic humility, making you realize how tiny your worries truly are. Others argue it might inspire a strange kind of confidence, reminding you that the universe can be gentle too. You tilt your head, deciding the rings give you both, humility in their scale, comfort in their softness. You walk farther into the plain, feeling the earth level beneath your feet. The double shadows follow quietly, stretching behind you like gentle echoes. A quirky thought enters your mind. In this world, someone would probably try to sell shadow harmony workshops, promising to align your two silhouettes for inner peace. You smile softly, imagining a group of people tilting in the same direction, trying to match their ringlight shadow with their moonlight shadow. You pause at the center of the plane, letting your eyes soften. The rings hover above you like a massive celestial ceiling. You can see the layers more clearly now. The dense inner bands look like finely ground glass, while the outer bands glow in subtle gradients, fading into the deeper night. For the first time, you really understand the texture of them, not with your eyes, but with your breath. They feel like the quiet parts of your mind, the spaces where thoughts soften and drift into calm shapes. Your breathing slows again. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. You lie down on the soft grass, letting your body sink gently into the earth. The ground supports you fully. The sky settles above you like a blanket of light. You place your hands on your stomach, feeling the slow rise and fall. Above you, the rings appear perfectly framed by your field of vision. They stretch outward in clean, luminous arcs that feel infinite and intimate at the same time. You watch them for a long, unmeasured moment. No rush, no purpose, just quiet watching. A faint shift rolls through the rings, so gentle you might have missed it if your breath weren't already slow. A tiny ripple moves through the bands, catching the glow and scattering it in a soft wave. It feels like the sky is exhaling with you, settling into the same rhythm. For a moment, you and the rings exist in the same breath cycle. the same stillness, the same space. People might still argue whether the rings would ever feel ordinary to those living beneath them. Some insist you would eventually stop noticing. Others believe the glow would never lose its magic. As you lie here, watching the arcs stretch across the world, you know your answer. The rings would become a ritual, a nightly reminder, a quiet companion you carry inside your chest. Even when your eyes close, you feel the last tension leave your shoulders. Your breathing falls into a slow glide. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. You close your eyes for a moment, letting the glow behind your eyelids shimmer gently. When you open them again, the rings feel even softer, as if they've dimmed just for you. This is the moment the night has been guiding you toward, the quiet understanding that you do not need to grasp the science, or the history, or the possibilities. All you need is the calm that the arcs offer, the peace of lying beneath a sky that feels endlessly patient. You let your gaze linger one more time, your breath drifting into the rhythm of the night. The rings sweep across your vision like soft strokes of light, and you finally understand not their origin or their physics, but their feeling, their purpose, their gift. They exist not to be solved, but to be rested under. Your eyes soften, your breath deepens, and the night folds gently around you. Let your body relax where it is, sinking a little deeper into the imagined grass beneath you. The world is quiet now. The rings glow in soft, soothing arcs, but they do not demand your attention anymore. They are simply present, like breath, like heartbeat, like the quiet comfort of a room dimmed just right. Let yourself melt into that stillness. Your thoughts drift slower now. They move the way light moves through water. Gentle, steady, unhurried. If a stray worry wanders across your mind, let it drift the way dust drifts through the ring bands. It does not cling. It does not settle. It just floats out of view, slipping into the soft glow. Let your shoulders loosen. Let your jaw soften. Let your eyelids grow heavier with each slow inhale. The fire crackles, the air softens, and you breathe slower. Ever your breath smooths out. Your body grows heavy. The night grows soft around you. And as you slip toward sleep, remember this gentle sky is always here for you, waiting whenever you need a calm place to rest.